So I'm going to start this video by reading a page from the manual by Epictetus. As I was reading it, I thought this would be a good topic for a video because I was thinking about it in depth as I read. And I thought it is very enlightening, and when you really think about it and you apply it to your life, I think that it could make a world of difference, because a lot of us struggle with this sort of thing, and we're ignorant to all the different variables and the implications of the whole topic. So it says, desire demands the attainment of that which you desire, and aversion demands the avoidance of that which you dislike. Those who fail to attain their desires are disappointed. Those who attain what they dislike are distressed. If you avoid only those undesirable things which are within your control, you will never suffer by attaining something you detest. But if you try to avoid what you cannot control, sickness, poverty, death, you will inflict useless mental suffering upon yourself. End the habit of despising things that are not within your power, and apply your aversion to things that are within your power. As for desire, for now it is best to avoid it altogether. Those new to this philosophy must first secure their sphere of power before they can discern what is truly worthy of desire. For if you desire things not within your power, you will suffer disappointment. When practical necessity demands that you desire or avoid something external, at work for instance, act with steady deliberation, not hasty strain. So there's a lot of useful information in there. I tend to think about things for a while as I'm reading, and some of the things that stood out to me were those new to this philosophy must first secure their sphere of power before they can discern what is worthy of desire. So in other words, when you live your whole life with an external focus, and which is instigated by conditioning and the proliferation and encouragement of low consciousness and all these sorts of things, and misguided and misorientated mind, misguided perceptions, etc., then you're vibrating at a very low state, and you have neglected your inner focus for so long that you don't even have a good grasp of what your sphere of control is. So you don't know what is within your power to obtain, what is worthy of attainment, these sorts of things. So how can you try to discern what is worthy of desire when you don't even know what you're capable of obtaining? And your whole life is lived in the sphere of the subverted and unrighteous world, so to speak. So whatever you desire is going to be predicated upon this low level of consciousness that you're at. So I thought that was an important point, that we need to first strip and weed out all of those things, all of the external focus that we've incorporated into our psyche and into our subconscious, and that dictates our whole being and keeps us trapped in the low plane of vibration. And when we do that, then it's like you set a forest fire to your spirit, to your consciousness, and you burn off all of the impurities and all of these sorts of things, so that you can have an unobstructed and more ascended view. And then you can begin to see the things that are truly worthy of desire, and then you can begin to understand what you how you can exercise, what you have control over, and the limits of your power and all of these sorts of things. So the other thing is that we have to be cognizant of the fact that what we desire, when we desire something, if that desire isn't fulfilled, as it says, that leads to disappointment, that leads to distress, that leads to just a state of disharmony. So, and aversion, or a very strong avoidance, is to avoid that which you dislike, as it says. So now if you obtain what you are avoiding, then if you obtain what you are avoiding, you will be distressed. Same thing, disharmony, dissatisfaction, anxiety, depression, all these sorts of things. So we need to have the proper, we need to approach these things with the proper discernment, the proper elevated state of consciousness, and the properly orientated mind and spirit to be able to discern these things, so that we, as a general rule, can avoid desire, be detached, and avoid aversion as well. And know that when we align ourselves with desires, desire in and of itself is not a bad thing. Is actually a good thing when it is applied to the goal of self-actualization and all of these things. But we tend to desire things of a carnal nature due to our fallen state, and even if they are fulfilled, they only further subdue our consciousness. But when they aren't, and when we desire and they're not fulfilled, like I said, it leads to all of those negative emotions. So we have to do a better job at understanding this basic fact that desire demands the attainment of that which you desire, and aversion demands the avoidance of that which you dislike. So really understand those things, and then you can have a better understanding of desire and aversion and all of these sorts of things, and how to properly interact with them, which all these things take practice. All these things take an approach that is one of gratitude, one of humility, one of purity, and they must be engaged in with persistence, approached with persistence and repetition. Just like everything, what you don't practice, what you don't use, becomes atrophied. So, these things don't, just because you have the conception of it and you begin to pursue it, it doesn't mean that it unfolds immediately. Everything takes effort, and there's a price to be paid for everything. So keep that in mind. And I thought that was a really good page. I've read a couple of these, and I also recommend reading this stuff. Any Stoic philosophy is always great, and any philosophy in general. They can be difficult to read, but by engaging with the difficulty of it, you're opening yourself up to learning, you're pushing through the discomfort, you're developing discipline, and the more you do something, the easier it'll come to you. So keep that in mind as well. The gist of the thing is that it is best to avoid grasping at and desiring that which is external to us. And as I said in the beginning, we do this for most of our lives for various reasons. And so this is the state of being, that the aspect of consciousness that we align ourselves with. And so we're at that subdued state. We can't even begin to reconcile what is being discussed in this page, because we're not at that place. So we need to make a concerted effort to reassert the incorporation, or reassert our alignment with proper vibration and elevated aspects of consciousness and all of these things. So I'm going to end the video here. I just wanted to say that, and I want to say I would appreciate it if you guys can leave your comments, leave feedback, leave topics or things you want me to discuss, any questions, anything that you might need advice on, anything you might be struggling with. Keep in mind the name of my channel. It never was about you. The idea is that is a common idea, but it came to me, and I had the idea to create the channel from it. That the suffering, the trials, the tribulations, the struggles that we go through, we are not to interpret them in ways that instigate victim mentality or complaining or avoidance, all of these things. We are to understand that your consciousness ascension and your ultimate self and God's purpose for you is to be, all of these things are achieved through being subjected to the flame of suffering. This is how you strengthen yourself. This is how you achieve humility and gratitude, and we are to extract only the highest vibration from the suffering. We are to voluntarily confront it and bear it with courage, with grace, with humility, with gratitude, with all of these things, and understand that it is a very necessary part of our journey, and it is an ultimate blessing, and it is to facilitate the divine purpose that God has for us, and most importantly, it is to allow us to become our completely ascended selves, so that we can have a positive impact on those we encounter and lift everybody up, lift ourselves up at the same time, because there is no separation. So keep that in mind. Your suffering is not about you. Bear it with a properly orientated mind and understand that it is a blessing. So more to come. Thanks for watching.